In this series of videos that we're going to be talking about logarithmic functions, it's important to know what a logarithm is. And a logarithm answers the question, how many of one number do we multiply to get another number? So how many of one number do we need to multiply to get another number? So this is what logarithmic form looks like. We note that it's a logarithm by writing log. And then a subscript is the base. And that's the number we're going to multiply by itself. And the number we want to get is called the argument. And this logarithm just answers that question. How many times do we take the base and multiply it by itself to get the argument? So that would be called an exponent. So the exponent is the logarithm. Now we can take this logarithmic form, it says form, we can take this logarithmic form and we can write it in exponential form. Exponential form is something we're very comfortable with. We take that base and we raise it to an exponent, and an exponential is the result. It's the number we get. So it's the argument. It's the number that we get when we take a base and multiply it by itself a certain number of times. So I'm going to use a highlighter here. A base raised to an exponent equals the argument. The base raised to an exponent equals the argument. So we can take any exponential form, rewrite it in logarithmic form, and vice versa. We can take anything in logarithmic form and rewrite it in exponential form. So if I have y equals log base b of x, b is the base. You're going to take the base and raise it to an exponent, and that's going to equal your argument. So we have a base raised to an exponent, and then that exponent equals the argument. So b raised to the y equals x. And now I'm going to write this right next to it because that's the equivalent in exponential form. So these two equations are completely equivalent. Completely equivalent. Now it's important to note that the base cannot be negative and it cannot be 1. So it's got to be greater than 0. That's going to keep it positive, but it cannot equal 1. So the base is positive, but not 1. Another thing that's very important to note is that the argument must be positive. So the argument must be positive, which makes sense. Any number raised to a power is going to give you a positive result. Most especially in this case when the base is positive. So when the base is positive, raised to any exponent, you're going to get a positive result. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to practice using logarithmic form and exponential form, and we're going to rewrite some equations and go back and forth so that we get real comfortable with the two different forms.